and I titled this John Kennedy, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana is a crazy SOB. The other day before the hearing on big tech and going after Facebook and Google and all these other ones, playing them off as a patsy. And it's so mind-blowing. We'll talk about it. John Kennedy met with some reporters, and he made a comment about Iran. Check this out.
Switching gears quickly to Iran, President Biden said that he has decided how to respond to those attacks that left 3 Americans dead. I'm wondering, how do you think that the administration should be responding?
President Biden needs to grow a pair of oranges and open Iran up like a soft peanut. Now, our military has been attacked 150 times. We've only responded a couple of times. We're in a bar fight. President Biden needs to stop quoting Socrates and reading Beowulf to the Ayatollah. These are hard men, and they want to kill Americans, and they want to kill Jews, and they want to drink our blood out of a boot. And we have to respond accordingly. I got to go to committee. See you go. See you, Senator.
Wow. Holy cow, ladies and gentlemen. Holy cow. I want to bring in our guest right now. He's here a little bit early. We can bring him on in and get his opinion on this whole situation. Don Debar is with us a little bit early today. Don, they want to drink our blood out of a boot. I mean, this is crazy. I don't know if you peeked at any of the mainstream media, but the liberal mainstream media keeps talking about Trump's cases, right? His court cases, his indictments. In fact, the USA Today put up like a court clock of sort of how many indictments he's had and what he's going through. The conservative mainstream media like Fox and Newsmax, they keep talking about the border, but both of them channels together are equally, MSNBC and Fox Today, had on the funeral of the Iran proxy kill, even though they have no proof it came from Iran, but they had the Iran proxy killed 3 soldiers funeral in which they showed, and they had on analysts who talked about World War II, and we sometimes forget that these people are out there fighting for truth and freedom and fighting for our democracy, and I hate it when anybody dies, Don. I don't want to downplay it. I feel sorry for the mothers of the people who died. But aren't we killing, and I mean, because we're funding, Israel with weapons, aren't we killing hundreds of thousands every year with our missiles and our ammunition? We just had Fiorella on talking about the West supplying the Azov battalion, killing civilians and the Donbass. What are your thoughts on what John Kennedy said about drinking blood from a boot? I mean, this is craziness, Don.
The United States has been arming the world certainly since the end of the Second World War. And, the result has been millions of dead, not just thousands. In Donbass, about something with 13 to 15,000.
Mr. Zuckerberg, let me ask you a couple.
Until 2022. And then, in essence, every death that's taken place on every side in Ukraine since then. I mean, following the logic of, if they had Benjamin Netanyahu as a PR guy, then he would be saying that every death in Ukraine is a consequence of the coup and of the, arms being delivered to Ukraine, and consequently, they're all on the back of the United States. And that's the logic he uses to explain how Israel bombing the hell out of Gaza is the fault of Hamas or, some other groups. There's so many things to deal with here. I don't even know where to begin. The border. You're looking at the possibility of, you see the political environment that's been created, really. I was saying this I did a program on RT about a week before the election in 2016, saying that the political condition of the country and the way that these things were being managed, the elections and the media, it was as if the American people were being prepared to fight a civil war. That half of the country believes A and the other half believes negative A. The things that they are polarized over really are of very little consequence compared to the real things that, you know, are damaging both sides, if you want to call them sides. And, you know, that's 8 years ago now, and it's only intensified. And now we're at the point where, you know, you've got Florida sending troops to Texas in apparent defiance of the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
You know, you had first the political climate for civil war. Now you're starting to get like the legal and military architecture for civil war.
Yeah.
What happens? Who's sitting on top of all of this right now? I mean, you have a situation that no matter where you light a match, some huge fire is going to start. Who's going to be managing our way through that?
Yeah.
With concern over, you know, minimizing the damage and reconciling people, and not just with empty words, not just with I can't think of a better, more accurate word. Not just with bullshit, but for real.
Yeah.
Instead, we have Joe Biden and whoever, you know, is really the president.
Yeah. And whoever's pulling the strings, right?
I'm sorry?
I said, and whoever's pulling the strings. And I think that also, too, as well, what you said about like one side believes one thing, the other side believes the other thing. And that is the big problem. Don, I want to hold on for 1 second and bring our other guest in here today. Mr. Clint Russell is hanging on out with us. How you doing there, Clint?
Am I here? There we go.
There we
are. What's up?
You're a little red, though.
Oh, yeah.
A little orange.
The sun's setting, so my lighting is a disaster.
You're challenging your inner there it is. Your inner Donald Trump. Listen, we just played a video from John Kennedy saying, Senator John Kennedy, that these people hate us, that Joe Biden needs to grow a set of oranges and retaliate. And from what I just heard, I got an update that I think the Pentagon has confirmed that we are retaliating on Iran as we speak, as the show is going on. I don't know exactly where. We'll have to look into it. But John Kennedy, the senator, finished up his statement, Clint, saying that these people want to drink America's blood out of a boot. Listen, you and Don, we were all together at Rage Against the War Machine. We all had a chance to get in the streets, protest. Some of us got a chance to talk and whatnot. So this is a coalition I'm still proud of when it comes to my libertarian brethren like yourself. And obviously, I've been hanging with Don's, type for quite some time and did a lot of work in Latin America and whatnot. But what are your thoughts on John Kennedy? And overall, we had Tom Cotton the other day who was pressing the Singaporean CEO questions about him being are you part of the Chinese Communist government and stuff? What are your thoughts about the lawmakers as it pertains to foreign policy in our country? Go ahead, Clint Russell.
I mean, it's horrific. These people, as best I can tell, they work at the behest of foreign governments, and those that don't work at the behest of foreign governments, they work for the military-industrial complex explicitly. The Lindsey Grahams, the Nikki Haley's of the world, they're blood-soaked. And just to bring up an interesting point, I just saw a clip from Lindsey Graham yesterday during his cross-examination of Mark Zuckerberg, where he said to Mark Zuckerberg, because of his lack of censorship and banning people,
you got blood on your hands. Yeah.
He said that's what he said. He told Mark Zuckerberg, "You have blood on your hands." Is there a living American politician who has more blood on their hands than Lindsey Graham? I mean, just the unbelievable hypocrisy. These people have no soul. They have no true belief system. It's just about financial, benefits and ego aggrandizement. They want to talk tough. They're scum of the earth. I mean, they're the most reprehensible people. And just to fill you in real quick as to where the strikes are, the initial reports is that there was 80 plus targets. They were allegedly IRGC and terror, Iran-backed terrorists. Who knows if that's actually accurate? But it was in Syria and Iraq, so they did not strike Iran, which is good news. But otherwise, it's awful news.
It is when we're sitting there going, "Oh, Donald Trump didn't take the bait and attack Iran; that he only whacked Soleimani, and that's good news." That's a problem right there, because it just shows you how low the bar is set. Now, gentlemen, I want to play this next clip for you real quick because it's sticking with Senator John Kennedy. He's a crazy son of a bitch. But this argument we hear from some of the Republicans, because a lot of people were saying, oh, the Republicans have become free speech advocates. They're the ones fighting for free speech. I think they became more of free speech advocates than the Democrats, because AOC, the Squad, and all the other Democrats were okay with platforming and censoring and whatnot. And, I was trying to tell a lot of the people that I was in the streets with for years that you have to be a free speech absolutist, because if you don't fight for speech you don't like, they're going to come for speech that you do like eventually when the guards change. This argument that we hear from the Republicans and what's going on over here, not just the fact that a lot of them have a bone to pick with China, so they go after TikTok, trying to equate the two, which once again, that CEO is from Singapore and all the data is kept right off here off the coast in the Cayman Islands. It seems very racist, what Tom Cotton was doing. Oh, everybody that looks alike is part of the Chinese Communist Party. It was ridiculous. But this kind of argument that they have, in a way, sounds a lot like the argument they make when it comes to weapons, when it comes to guns. When they constantly say, Clint and Don, oh, it's not the gun that killed somebody, it's the person. You can't get rid of guns. Oh, isn't that the same thing with social media, that it's not really the social media that's killing people, that restricting social media won't work? Take a listen to this exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Mark Zuckerberg, and then we'll let Clint go first on this one, and Don, you can follow him up. But I want your opinions on this one, because this to me is just mind-boggling. Here's Senator John Kennedy at the big tech hearing the other day after he said they want to drink our blood out of the boot.
Mr. Zuckerberg, let me ask you a couple of questions. Might wax a little philosophical here. I have to hand it to you. You have convinced over 2 billion people to give up all of their personal information, every bit of it, in exchange for getting to see what their high school friends had for dinner Saturday night. That's pretty much your business model, isn't it?
It's not how I would characterize it. And we give people the ability to connect with the people they care about and to engage with the topics that they care about.
And you take this information, this abundance of personal information, and then you develop algorithms to punch people's hot buttons, and send and steer to them information that punches their hot buttons again and again and again to keep them coming back and to keep them staying longer. And as a result, your users see only one side of an issue. And so, to some extent, your platform has become a killing field for the truth, hasn't it?
I mean, Senator, I disagree with that characterization. We build ranking and recommendations because people have a lot of friends and a lot of interests, and they want to make sure that they see the content that's relevant to them. We're trying to make a product that's useful to people and make our services as helpful as possible for people to connect with the people they care about and the interests they care about.
But you don't show them both sides. You don't give them balanced information. You just keep punching their hot buttons, punching their hot buttons. You don't show them balanced information so people can discern the truth for themselves. And you rev them up so much that so often your platform and others becomes just cesspools of snark where nobody learns anything, don't they?
Well, Senator, I disagree with that. I think people can engage in the things that they're interested in and learn quite a bit about those. We have done a handful of different experiments and things in the past around news and trying to show content on a diverse set of perspectives. I think that there's more that needs to be explored there, but I don't think that we can solve that by ourselves. One of the things that I saw.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. President, but I'm going to run out of time. Do you think your users really understand what they're giving to you, all their personal information, and how you process it and how you monetize it?
Okay, let's bring in our guest, and we're going to start with Clint, the libertarian here, because this is deep over here. Because what he is saying to me in code is that they want more censorship. You know, I remember at one point when AOC had a chance to talk about what was going on as far as Zuckerberg when he was first summoned there and when she first got to Congress, about him taking our data and selling it. And that is something that should be illegal, right? I think we need a digital bill of rights over here where the user is protected, their information is protected. But that's not what Senator Kennedy is alluding to. And I've said this before because I've watched a lot of these hearings. I don't read enough books, but I watch too many hearings. That's my problem, Clint and Don. And a lot of these hearings, the Republicans really aren't for freedom of speech. When I mean the Republicans, I mean the ones in Congress and the Senate. They just think the wrong people are being censored. They want to censor pro-Palestinian, pro-Iranian, pro-China. They want to keep them quiet. And they're not happy with Facebook because they feel that Facebook was involved with leaning towards Obama and the Democrats. Time magazine, which is, I think, is now out of business. They had that famous article about the cabal that helped democracy, which in fact, it looked like a confession piece to me. And Zuckerberg was at the dinner table toasting with Obama. So I think they see him in that light. But instead of going after him for him being biased or leaning a certain way, they're looking to censor him more. At least that's what I feel across the board. And, you know, my old partner, Steve Poikinen, used to say, we shouldn't be, you know, banning TikTok in the public market, right? The public, what do you call it? Help me out here. The public square. Thank you. We should be banning it at home if you want to. And I've seen a lot of conservative mothers go on TV and go, listen, my kids might want to see TikTok, and they'll say, oh, my friends are listening to TikTok. And I tell them, if your friends are jumping off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge too? In other words, I think it's up to the family, the home, to decide what their kids shouldn't listen to. And it's not up for the government to tell us what the truth and what a lie is. That's for we, the people, to decide. So what are your thoughts on that? Clint, you go first, and then Don, you follow up. Because like I said, this is a gun argument just in reverse. Clint Russell, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, my analysis of this is that this is like two gangs kind of fighting, but really what it is jealousy. Like, if you actually listen to the way he's talking to Zuckerberg, he goes, do you think that your users know that you're taking all their data and how you're using it? That's supposed to be the NSA's job, Mr. Zuckerberg. That's supposed, you know, like you guys do it to us too. So how about you get off your moral high horse, you absolute scumbag? I despise these people. Just to hear them talk to what would be a private business if it weren't for all the government contracts that they have, all the contracts that they have with the CIA and the spying apparatus, the backdoors with the FBI and everything else. It's like, yeah, these aren't private corporations, so I'm not going to go to the mat for them because they're so deeply intertwined with the federal government. But really, I just don't care, other than I don't want them to be censoring even these Goliaths, because what that means is it'll trickle down. It'll become blanket bills that apply to all internet communications. That's clearly what they want. They want to be able to control the narrative. That's the entire intention of this. This is why he's saying they only get one side of the story. Okay, well, there's only one side to a story if it's the truth. So I'm not even interested. Like, I do not want the government ever dictating what the truth is. And that's essentially what they're attempting to do. And if people get into the comment section and they say a bunch of nonsense, human beings have the right to be wrong. We can say whatever we want. This is America, last I checked, or at least it's supposed to be. So I reject the entire premise of his argumentation, that it's hypocritical, it's jealousy, and they intend to do it whether we like it or not. They're going to try and do it. And just one final note as to the conservative parents that are out there saying they would like to see TikTok banned or social. I mean, in Florida, they're talking about a blanket social media ban for anyone under 16 years old. I think it's totally paternalistic. It removes the parent's responsibility when it comes to child rearing. You're allegedly the party of personal responsibility and family values. Well, then demonstrate it. Stop being such hypocrites yourself. Parent. Be a parent.
Don, your thoughts over there, because, you know, a lot of people will say, well, Don's a Marxist. Shouldn't the state have some control on what should be said and what shouldn't be said?
All of these platforms and the internet itself, particularly given the heavy public investment in all of it, should be regulated in the same way that telephones were regulated, both in terms of government and private interests. And that being, you connect the phone call. If you want to provide a fancy interface, you have nice phones. They could have memory, store numbers, maybe do party calls, multi-party calls, and all these things. In terms of the content, it's none of your fucking business. That should be the message to Zuckerberg and Kennedy. You have no business discussing the content.
Good stuff. YouTube still plays those crazy games where they like to unsubscribe people for whatever reason. I don't know if it's part of an algorithm or whatnot, but make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that bell and like, share, subscribe to the show. We're going to have this whole show clipped up. We're going to do it the same way we've been doing it on the Combo Couch for many years. We do a whole show, a live show, and then we have certain segments. We're going to repost the segments out there so you can share the shorter versions of the subjects that you like or that you want to share. And that's the most important thing you can do. A lot of us don't have any coin to spare, but we can share, right? That rhymed. We don't have any coin to spare, but we can share. So do me a favor and share.